3 months after my daughter-in-law threw me out of my own house. My son came back. Not to apologize. Not at first. He came back because the woman he chose over me had finally shown him who she really was. But by then, $10 million had already changed everything. And the door that once closed behind me was no longer his to knock on. Welcome to my YouTube channel Whisper Stories, where silence speaks. My name is Addison, and I am 60 years old. At 60, you think humiliation can no longer surprise you. You believe you've tasted enough bitterness to recognize it before it reaches your lips. You imagine that the worst pain life can offer comes from hospitals, funerals, and unpaid bills, not from your own front door. So you are wrong. The day my son's wife told me to leave, I was still holding a plate of wedding leftovers in my hand. The house smelled of roses and champagne. Streamers clung to the staircase like faded promises. My son Daniel had married Clara just 2 weeks earlier. The ceremony had been beautiful white lilies, soft violins, sunlight spilling across the garden like a blessing. I paid for most of it. Not because they asked, because I wanted to. Because when you spend 30 years raising a boy alone, you begin to see his happiness as your final duty. Daniel's mother died when he was 8. Cancer, swift and cruel. After that, it was just the two of us. I learned to braid shoelaces, cook pancakes without burning them, and sit in school auditoriums pretending not to cry. I worked double shifts at the warehouse. I missed birthdays so I could afford bicycles. I sold my watch to pay for his college books. And I would have done it all again. But love does not guarantee loyalty. Addison, Clara said that afternoon, her voice sweet in the way artificial sweetener is sweet, convincing, but hollow. We need privacy now. It's time you find somewhere else to live. I laughed at first. I thought it was a joke. After all, the house was in my name. I bought it 25 years ago. Every nail in the floorboards knew my footsteps. Daniel stood behind her, silent. That silence hurt more than her words. I'll stay in the basement, I offered gently, just until you two settle in. Clara crossed her arms. No, newlyweds need space. You're in the way. In the way? I looked at my son, my boy who once clung to my leg on his first day of school, Daniel. He avoided my eyes. Dad, maybe it's better this way. Better for whom? I didn't argue. Pride is a fragile thing at 60. It cracks easily. I packed one suitcase. Shirts, socks, my late wife's photograph. As I walked out, Clara locked the door behind me. Locked it. I spent that night in my car. There is a particular loneliness that settles in when the world goes quiet. Streetlights flickered like tired witnesses. I leaned back in the driver's seat and tried to understand how sacrifice becomes inconvenience. For weeks, I drifted between cheap motels and a friend's couch. Daniel didn't call. Clara never did. Then something unexpected happened. A month before the wedding, I had bought a lottery ticket. Not out of hope, out of habit. Every Friday for 20 years, I bought one. A small rebellion against logic. I had forgotten about it. Until I saw the numbers on a flickering television screen in a diner. My hands trembled, my coffee spilled. Every number matched. Every single one. $10 million. I checked 3 times, then 4. The waitress thought I was having a heart attack. In a way, I was. When the lottery office confirmed it, I didn't shout. I didn't dance. I sat very still. Because money, I realized, doesn't just change your life. It reveals others. Word travels fast when it smells like fortune. 2 days later, my phone rang. Dad, Daniel's voice burst through the speaker, bright and warm as summer. Why didn't you tell us? Us? Clara's voice chimed in the background. We're so proud of you, Addison. Proud? They invited me over for dinner. The same house, the same door that had closed behind me. Clara opened it with a hug so tight it felt rehearsed. This is still your home, she cooed. Funny, it hadn't been last month. Dinner was extravagant. Steak, wine, candles. Daniel laughed louder than usual. Clara touched my arm whenever she spoke. Eventually, the real conversation arrived. So, Clara began carefully, with that kind of money we could renovate the house, or invest, maybe buy a bigger place. I sipped my wine. Interesting. Daniel leaned forward. Dad, we're family. Family. The word felt different now. Clara, I asked calmly, why did you want me out? She blinked. Oh, that was just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding that required luggage. Daniel shifted uncomfortably. Dad, let's not dwell on the past. But the past was exactly where truth lived. I spent 30 years dwelling on you, I replied quietly. Silence wrapped around the table. I've made some decisions, I continued. I won't be investing in renovations. Clara's smile tightened. Then what will you do? I looked at my son, really looked at him. I'm going to live. And I did. I bought a modest house near the coast. Nothing extravagant, just sunlight, salt air and peace. I donated to the hospital that treated my wife. I funded scholarships for single parents. I paid off my old friend's mortgage without telling him who did it. Money felt lighter when shared with gratitude, not greed. Daniel called often after that. Clara too. Invitations arrived weekly. I attended one last dinner. Clara handed me a folder. We drafted some ideas for a joint investment, if you just transfer. I placed my hand on the folder and gently pushed it back. No. Her expression hardened, mask slipping. Daniel sighed. Dad, you're being selfish. Selfish? I almost laughed. Selfish is throwing your father out when he becomes inconvenient, I said softly. Selfish is remembering him only when his bank account changes. Daniel's face flushed. I stood up. I gave you everything when I had nothing. Now I have something, and I choose to give it where it grows kindness. Clara didn't hug me at the door this time. Months passed, then a year. Without financial incentive, their calls slowed. Eventually they stopped. It hurt. Of course it hurt. A parent's heart does not retire at 60. But peace is a powerful medicine. One afternoon, there was a knock at my coastal home. Daniel stood there alone. He looked smaller, tired. Dad, he said quietly. Clara left. I didn't react. She said I wasn't ambitious enough, that we should have secured your money when we had the chance. When we had the chance. Daniel swallowed hard. I'm sorry for everything. Regret, unlike money, cannot be transferred instantly. It must be earned. Why now? I asked. He looked down, because I finally realized you were never the problem. We sat on the porch as the sun dipped into the ocean. For the first time in years, there were no rehearsed smiles. I was afraid, he admitted, afraid of losing her, so I chose silence over you. Silence? The same weapon that once cut me. I can't undo what happened, he whispered. No, I agreed, you can't. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is deciding not to poison yourself with memory. I'll try, I said. Tears filled his eyes. We began slowly, coffee once a week, conversations without money between us like a third guest. Trust rebuilds brick by brick. As for Clara, she resurfaced briefly, a legal letter hinting at entitlement to family assets. It dissolved when lawyers clarified the word family. Money had been her compass. When it pointed elsewhere, so did she. Today I am still Addison, still 60, though the years feel lighter. I sit on my porch most mornings, watching waves carve patience into the shore. People assume winning $10 million changed my life. They're wrong. Being thrown out changed it first. The money simply revealed the cracks. Here is what I learned. Never confuse sacrifice with obligation. Never mistake silence for loyalty. And never believe that wealth creates character. It only exposes it. Love that depends on inheritance is not love. Respect that arrives with a bank statement is not respect. And family that stands only in sunshine will disappear in rain. I lost a house, I lost illusions, I nearly lost my son. But I gained clarity. And clarity at 60 is worth more than $10 million. Moral. True wealth is not counted in currency but in character. Money will amplify what already lives inside a person, kindness or greed, loyalty or opportunism. Choose to invest in people who value you when you have nothing, not only when you have everything. Because doors that close on you in poverty should not reopen in prosperity. And sometimes the greatest fortune is discovering who would leave and who would stay when the numbers change.